While Priscilla struggled with her insecurities, Ann-Margret radiated confidence and charm. She was a vibrant performer, captivating audiences with her singing and dancing. This allure made her a formidable presence, especially in the eyes of Priscilla, who often felt overshadowed. The contrast between them was stark. Where Priscilla was often seen as the quiet and reserved partner, Ann-Margret embodied a bold and vivacious spirit. This dynamic intensified Priscilla's fears about her relationship with Elvis. Elvis's connection with Ann-Margret was not just professional, it was deeply personal. Their chemistry on screen translated into a real-life bond that left Priscilla feeling vulnerable. The media buzz surrounding their affair only added to her anxiety as she grappled with feelings of inadequacy. Priscilla's worries were not unfounded. She saw in Ann-Margret a reflection of everything she felt she was not. The emotional turmoil of comparing herself to someone so seemingly perfect weighed heavily on her heart, creating a complex web of jealousy and fear that would haunt her throughout their relationship. Elvis Presley, known as the King of Rock and Roll, was not only famous for his groundbreaking music, but also for his charm and ability to win the hearts of many women. Among those who held a special place in his life were Ann-Margret and Priscilla Presley. Both women shared deep connections with Elvis, and their love for him was evident in their memoirs. Ann-Margret, a talented actress and singer, had a passionate romance with Elvis during the early 1960s. Their relationship was filled with excitement and mutual admiration, but it was also complicated by the pressures of fame and the demands of their careers. On the other hand, Priscilla, who became Elvis's wife, had a different kind of bond with him. Their relationship began when she was just a teenager, and it evolved into a marriage that lasted for several years. Priscilla often spoke of her love and respect for Elvis, highlighting the unique connection they shared. However, the relationship between Ann-Margret and Priscilla was not friendly, as both women were linked to the same man. This rivalry was fueled by their feelings for Elvis and the public's fascination with his romantic life. Despite their individual experiences with him, the tension between them was palpable, shaped by their shared history with the iconic figure. Both women have left behind stories that reflect their admiration for Elvis, but the underlying competition and complexity of their relationships add layers to the narrative of his life. The intertwining of their lives with Elvis's legacy continues to intrigue fans and historians alike, revealing the personal side of a man who was larger than life. Can you imagine the feelings of a young woman who has been waiting for her fiancé to marry her, only to find out about his intense affair? That was the reality for Priscilla Presley when she learned about Ann-Margret. Before she became Priscilla Presley, the younger girlfriend of Elvis, she had moved into his Memphis estate, Graceland, during her high school years. After waiting for Elvis for what felt like an eternity, Priscilla held on to the hope that her dreams of marrying the King of Rock and Roll would soon come true. In a reflective piece for People magazine, she recalled the excitement of the moment when she finally married Elvis, remembering the sound of cameras flashing and the approval of her parents. Being referred to as his wife was a much nicer label than some of the other names she had been called. This journey from a hopeful girl to the wife of a rock legend was filled with complex emotions, shaped by love, longing, and the challenges of fame. Despite the glamour surrounding their relationship, Elvis and Priscilla faced significant challenges before they could say "I do." Their love story was not just filled with romance. It was marked by trials that tested their bond. One of the most significant struggles came during the filming of Viva Las Vegas. Rumors began to swirl that Elvis was having an affair with his co-star, Ann-Margret. This news hit Priscilla hard, creating a rift between the couple. The whispers of infidelity caused deep emotional turmoil for Priscilla, who had already sacrificed so much to be with Elvis. The couple found themselves at a crossroads, with the possibility of breaking up looming over them. The tension was palpable, and it seemed that their relationship might not survive the strain of public scrutiny and personal doubts. However, through these difficult times, they managed to communicate and work through their issues, ultimately deciding to commit to each other fully. Their journey was a testament to the complexities of love, showing that even the most glamorous relationships can face dark moments. As Elvis prepared to leave Graceland for the filming of Viva Las Vegas, Priscilla felt a deep sense of unease. The thought of him working alongside Ann-Margret, the fastest rising starlet in Hollywood, filled her with anxiety. She walked out the door with him, arm in arm, but inside she was struggling with her emotions. Priscilla desperately wanted to express her feelings, to tell Elvis about her worries, but he was too busy to share a private moment with her. In her memoir, she reflected on that day, cursing herself for not speaking up. She had been upset ever since she learned that Ann-Margret would be his leading lady. Priscilla's fears were not unfounded, as her prediction came true when Elvis and Ann-Margret dated for a year. The situation weighed heavily on her heart, and she couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. The excitement of the film was overshadowed by her concerns about their relationship and the potential for jealousy and heartbreak. Seeing news of Elvis's relationship with Ann-Margret in the media filled Priscilla with rage. The report struck a nerve, as Ann-Margret was often referred to as the female version of Elvis, which only deepened Priscilla's jealousy. In a fit of anger, she broke a vase, a physical manifestation of her emotional turmoil. Despite Elvis's assurances that his relationship with Ann-Margret was over, the rumors persisted, especially after their time in Las Vegas. This ongoing speculation led to a significant argument between Elvis and Priscilla, highlighting the strain that jealousy and public perception placed on their relationship. In her memoir, Priscilla reflected on these moments, revealing the deep insecurities she felt and the challenges they faced as a couple. The tension surrounding Ann-Margret's presence in Elvis's life was a recurring theme, illustrating the complexities of love, fame, and trust in their relationship. When Elvis stopped receiving Ann-Margret's calls, she took the step of sending him a telegram to confirm their breakup. This telegram reached Priscilla, who reacted strongly, showing her disdain for Ann-Margret. It was clear that Priscilla harbored negative feelings toward her. Despite this tension, Elvis, known for his hit "Don't Be Cruel," eventually married Priscilla. Their relationship was marked by complexities, especially considering that Ann-Margret and Elvis maintained a lasting friendship and deep respect for one another over the years. This ongoing connection was not something Priscilla accepted easily. She was no longer the young, moldable girl who had first entered Elvis's life. As time went on, the dynamics of their relationships became more complicated, with Priscilla feeling the weight of the past and the presence of Ann-Margret in Elvis's life. The emotional landscape was fraught with jealousy and insecurity as Priscilla navigated her role as Elvis's wife while grappling with the shadows of his past romances. Elvis's controlling behavior and his interest in other women played a significant role in the eventual divorce between Priscilla and Elvis Presley. Their romance began when Priscilla was just 14 years old. She met Elvis while living in West Germany, where her family had moved due to her father, Paul, being a U.S. Air Force captain. This meeting in the late 50s marked the start of a complicated relationship. As their romance developed, Priscilla found herself drawn into Elvis's world, which was filled with fame and attention. However, as time went on, Elvis's behavior became increasingly possessive. He often wanted to control Priscilla's actions and choices, which created tension between them. Additionally, Elvis's interest in other women added strain to their marriage. Priscilla struggled with feelings of insecurity and isolation as Elvis's fame attracted many admirers. These factors ultimately led to their separation, as both individuals faced the challenges of their relationship in the public eye. The combination of Elvis's controlling nature and his infidelities made it difficult for Priscilla to remain in a marriage that no longer felt healthy or supportive. At a party in Bardnayam, Priscilla Presley first met Elvis Presley, who was then in his mid-20s and already a superstar. He had hits like Hound Dog that made him a household name. The moment she laid eyes on him, she felt an undeniable connection. Priscilla was captivated by his charm and charisma. She knew right away that she wanted to be a part of his life. The atmosphere was electric, filled with excitement and the buzz of Elvis's fame. As they talked and laughed, Priscilla realized that she wanted to go places with him. The thought of being apart from him made her emotional. She later reflected on those feelings, saying she would cry if she couldn't be around him. This initial meeting marked the beginning of a deep and complicated relationship that would shape both of their lives in ways they could not have imagined. The bond they formed that night would lead to a journey filled with love, challenges, and unforgettable moments. In 1963, 3 years after Elvis returned to the U.S., Priscilla Presley's life took a significant turn. Her parents made the decision to allow her to move from Germany to Memphis, Tennessee. This move was not just a simple relocation, it was a pivotal moment in her life, as it brought her closer to the man who would become a major influence on her future. Elvis, the Tupelo, Mississippi-born star, had moved to Memphis with his family as a teenager, and now Priscilla was following in his footsteps. However, her parents had one important condition for this move. They insisted that she live with Elvis's father and stepmother in their home, which was conveniently located just a mile away from his famous Graceland mansion. This arrangement allowed Priscilla to be near Elvis while also providing her with a stable living environment. Living with his family gave her a sense of security and a glimpse into the life of the man she admired. As she settled into her new surroundings, the excitement of being in Memphis and the proximity to Elvis began to shape her young life in ways she could not have imagined. The vibrant culture of Memphis, combined with her growing relationship with Elvis, set the stage for a unique chapter in her life that would intertwine her destiny with that of the king of rock and roll. When Priscilla Presley began dating Elvis, she felt as if she had stepped into a fairy tale. The excitement of being with the biggest star of the time was overwhelming. Elvis was not only immensely popular, but also incredibly handsome and charming, making him the object of envy for countless young women. Priscilla, at a young age, found herself in a whirlwind romance that many could only dream of. The age difference between them was never a concern for Elvis. He saw Priscilla as someone he could mold into his ideal partner, envisioning a future where she would embody his perfect woman. This desire to transform her was part of the allure of their relationship. As he showered her with attention and affection, Priscilla was captivated by his charisma and the glamorous lifestyle that came with being Elvis's girlfriend. The world around her seemed to fade away as she embraced this new life filled with luxury, excitement, and the thrill of being in love with a superstar. The dream life she thought she was living was a blend of passion and the challenges that came with being in the spotlight. The allure of fame and the complexities of their relationship created a unique chapter in her life that many would find fascinating. 4 years later, when he was 32 and she was 21, they were married. This union marked Elvis Presley's first and last marriage. The details surrounding Elvis's wedding were kept secret, shrouded in mystery, and it wasn't until years later that more facts about the event came to light. The couple exchanged vows in a private ceremony, away from the public eye, which was typical for Elvis, who often sought to maintain a level of privacy in his personal life. As time went by, however, it became clear to Priscilla that Elvis was not the perfect man she had once believed him to be. The pressures of fame and the demands of his career took a toll on their relationship. Priscilla faced challenges that tested her love and commitment. Despite the glamour and excitement of being married to a superstar, she began to see the complexities of their life together. The reality of their marriage was far from the fairy tale she had envisioned, leading her to confront the truth about their partnership and the man she had married. Speaking about their deteriorating relationship, Priscilla Presley expressed her feelings about how Elvis became controlling, jealous, and overprotective. This behavior created a strain between them, making her feel trapped in a way. She often mentioned that his jealousy was overwhelming, which affected her sense of freedom and independence. On top of that, his relationship with Ann-Margret disturbed Priscilla a lot. She felt insecure knowing that there were other women in Elvis's life, even before they got married. This knowledge weighed heavily on her, as she realized that she was not the only one who held a special place in his heart. The emotional turmoil from these feelings contributed to the growing distance between them. Priscilla's awareness of Elvis's other relationships made her question their bond and her role in his life. The combination of jealousy, control, and the presence of other women created a complex and challenging dynamic that ultimately led to their struggles as a couple. The chemistry between Elvis Presley and Swedish singer Ann-Margret was palpable, creating a magnetic connection that captivated audiences. This undeniable spark did not fade when the cameras stopped rolling. By the time George Sidney introduced the pair on the set of their 1964 movie musical, the energy between them was already electric. Elvis, an established icon, and Ann-Margret, who had gained fame with films like Bye Bye Birdie, found themselves drawn to each other in a way that felt almost fated. In her 1994 autobiography, My Story, Ann-Margret reflected on their relationship, describing her affair with Elvis as something that felt inevitable from the moment they met. Their time together was filled with passion and excitement, leaving a lasting impression on both their lives and careers. The connection they shared was not just for the screen. It was a genuine bond that resonated deeply, making their collaboration memorable and significant in the history of film and music. Elvis's friends had mixed feelings about Priscilla Presley compared to Ann-Margret. While they enjoyed Ann-Margret's company, they found it harder to connect with Priscilla. Elvis's cousin, Billy Smith, was particularly fond of Ann-Margret. He appreciated her easygoing nature, saying she made his life simpler because she understood him and did not place demands on him. In contrast, Billy felt that Priscilla struggled to understand the dynamics of Elvis's close circle, known as the Memphis Mafia. This disconnect created a sense of tension among the group. At the time, Elvis was serious about marrying Priscilla, and they eventually did tie the knot. However, the marriage was not as straightforward as Priscilla might have envisioned. The complexities of their relationship and the influence of Elvis's friends played a significant role in shaping their life together. The challenges they faced highlighted the differences in how they navigated their personal and social lives, leaving a lasting impact on their journey as a couple. As Ann-Margret and Elvis Presley grew closer, the tension in their love triangle with Priscilla intensified. Their chemistry was undeniable, both in their performances and in their personal interactions. This connection did not go unnoticed, and rumors began to swirl, creating a cloud of uncertainty over Elvis's committed relationship with Priscilla. Marty Lacker, a close friend and member of Elvis's inner circle, reflected on the situation in the biography Elvis and the Memphis Mafia. He acknowledged that Elvis faced a significant choice between the two women. Lacker believed that if the situation escalated, Elvis would likely choose Ann-Margret over Priscilla. This potential decision added to the emotional turmoil surrounding the love triangle, as both women had strong feelings for Elvis. The conflict was not just about love, but also about loyalty and the pressures of fame. The dynamics of their relationships were complicated, with each person navigating their own feelings and the expectations of the public. The love triangle became a source of drama, highlighting the challenges of love in the spotlight. The situation was fraught with tension, as Elvis found himself torn between two powerful connections, each representing different aspects of his life and desires. The unfolding drama captivated those around them, leaving everyone wondering how it would ultimately resolve. Being that Marty was a close friend of Elvis, one might think he was correct in his assumptions about the singer's relationships. However, things were not so straightforward. Billy Smith, another close associate, expressed that he believed Elvis would marry Ann-Margret, and even thought he should. The chemistry between Ann-Margret and Elvis was undeniable, captivating everyone around them. Priscilla, however, was already suspecting this possibility from the beginning. Despite her concerns, Elvis repeatedly assured her that Ann-Margret was just a leading lady, and that he wasn't too interested in leading ladies. This reassurance did little to ease Priscilla's worries, as she could sense the strong connection between Elvis and Ann-Margret. The tension of these speculations weighed heavily on Priscilla, who found herself navigating the complexities of love and trust in the shadow of Elvis's fame and the allure of his co-stars. The dynamics of their relationship were complicated, filled with doubts and reassurances that often clashed. Priscilla's intuition about the situation made her question the nature of their bond, as she grappled with the reality of being in a relationship with one of the most famous men in the world. The world watched closely, but only Priscilla knew the true depth of her feelings and the challenges she faced. Concerns arose for Priscilla Presley when the media began referring to Ann-Margret as the female Elvis Presley. This label troubled Priscilla, especially since Ann-Margret had only starred in a handful of films, yet was already being compared to the legendary singer. Elvis himself expressed curiosity about Ann-Margret, noting that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. However, Priscilla's worries were not unfounded. Elvis had confided in her about his past relationships, admitting to having affairs with several of his co-stars before he even met Priscilla. This revelation added weight to her concerns, as it suggested a pattern of behavior that could easily extend to Ann-Margret. The idea that someone could be seen as a rival, even in a playful or flattering way, was unsettling for Priscilla. The dynamics of fame and attraction in Hollywood often blurred lines, making it difficult for her to feel secure in her relationship with Elvis. The situation highlighted the complexities of love and loyalty in the world of celebrity, where admiration could sometimes lead to deeper complications. Throughout her life, Priscilla Presley has navigated the complexities of love and career, particularly in relation to her famous husband, Elvis Presley. In her 1985 memoir, Elvis and Me, she reflects on the challenges of being in a relationship with someone whose career often took precedence over personal matters. Priscilla recalls Elvis telling her, "I don't want to be second to anything or anyone." This statement highlights the tension between their relationship and his demanding career. As she discusses her feelings about Elvis's co-stars, particularly Ann-Margret, Priscilla realizes that sharing her fears with Elvis would not ease her worries. She understood that even if she expressed her concerns, Elvis might not have been able to reassure her. This realization stemmed from a painful moment when he revealed his past romances with various co-stars. Such admissions only deepened her insecurities, making her feel like she was competing with the women who shared the screen with him. Priscilla's reflections reveal the emotional turmoil that can arise when love and ambition collide. The struggle to balance personal relationships with the demands of a partner's career is a theme that resonates with many, illustrating the sacrifices and heartaches that can accompany fame. The complexities of her relationship with Elvis serve as a poignant reminder of the challenges faced by those in the public eye, where love often takes a backseat to ambition and success. Listening to the stories about the love life of the singer known for Can't Help Falling in Love, Priscilla Presley found herself in a complex emotional landscape. She wanted to make peace with the idea of his relationships, reminding herself that during those years, she was living in Germany, far away from the Hollywood scene. This distance allowed her to justify his behavior, as they had no real ties at that time. Despite her efforts to remain calm and rational, a part of her struggled with the thought of his fidelity. While he was making Viva Las Vegas, she wanted to believe that he would stay faithful to her. However, deep down, she was convinced that he would have an affair with Ann-Margret, a co-star who was known for her beauty and charm. This inner conflict created a whirlwind of emotions for Priscilla as she navigated her feelings of love, trust, and insecurity in a world filled with temptations and uncertainties. After filming wrapped, Elvis brought Priscilla to Los Angeles with him when he began work on the film Kissing Cousins. It was during this time that Priscilla's worst fears were confirmed. The media was in turmoil over Ann-Margret's red-hot affair with Elvis, despite the fact that Elvis had completed his work with Ann-Margret 6 weeks beforehand. The headlines were relentless, and the gossip was everywhere. Priscilla felt a wave of anxiety wash over her as she tried to navigate this new reality. One day, Elvis came home holding a newspaper that had a bogus engagement announcement with Ann-Margret splashed across the front. Priscilla's heart sank as she wondered when this would all be over. The constant news, the gossip, and the headlines about the affair felt overwhelming. She found herself questioning the stability of their relationship and the impact of the media on their lives. The pressure was immense, and Priscilla struggled to find her place in a world that seemed to thrive on scandal and drama. The uncertainty loomed large, and she felt trapped in a cycle of public scrutiny and personal heartache. Priscilla was filled with rage upon hearing the news, her emotions boiling over as she screamed that she was tired of secrets and lies. In a fit of anger, she threw a vase across the room, shattering it into pieces. This outburst was a reaction to the turmoil in her relationship with Elvis. She recalled a moment when Elvis had thrown her onto the bed, trying to calm her down. He assured her that he had no idea his daily encounters with Ann-Margret would lead to such a situation. Elvis expressed a desire for a woman who could understand that things like this might just happen in their complicated lives. Priscilla wrote about this bold declaration, questioning whether she would be the one to accept such a reality. The tension between them was palpable as she grappled with the implications of his words and the emotional weight they carried. The struggle for trust and understanding in their relationship was evident, leaving Priscilla to ponder her place in Elvis's world. Colonel Tom Parker, the manager of Elvis Presley, made a significant decision to send Priscilla back to Graceland. This move aimed to avoid any public controversy surrounding the couple. Although Priscilla was still grappling with the emotional fallout from recent events, she reluctantly agreed to return to Memphis for the time being. The situation was complicated, as she felt a mix of loyalty and heartache. Priscilla had been deeply affected by the incident involving Elvis and his co-star, which had cast a shadow over their relationship. Despite her feelings, she held on to the hope that Elvis had promised her that his relationship with his co-star was over. This promise gave her a glimmer of reassurance, even as she faced the reality of returning to a place filled with memories of their life together. The atmosphere at Graceland was charged with unspoken tension, as Priscilla navigated her emotions while trying to maintain a sense of normalcy in a world that had become increasingly complicated. The return to Graceland was not just a physical journey, but also an emotional one, as she sought to reconcile her feelings and the promises made to her. The complexities of love, trust, and the pressures of fame loomed large as she settled back into the iconic home that had once been a sanctuary for both her and Elvis. The challenges ahead were daunting, but Priscilla was determined to find her footing amidst the turmoil. When Elvis returned to Graceland, the atmosphere was thick with tension. His initial reunion with Priscilla felt forced, as if the weight of their past and the complications of his life loomed over them. Priscilla was anxious, her heart racing with uncertainty about their relationship. Sensing her distress, Elvis sought a moment alone with her, hoping to ease her worries. He looked into her eyes and reassured her, saying, "Scylla, it's over. I swear to you, it's over. He spoke of Ann-Margret, a name that had become a source of concern for Priscilla. Elvis explained that Ann-Margret was from a different world, someone who seemed glamorous and unattainable. He described her as a nice girl, but insisted that she was not the right person for him. Priscilla listened intently as Elvis shared his feelings, revealing that he had simply gotten caught up in a situation that had spiraled out of control from the very beginning. His words were meant to comfort her, to reaffirm their bond amidst the chaos that surrounded them. The sincerity in his voice was a reminder of the love they shared, even as the shadows of doubt lingered. When it came to Ann-Margret, Elvis felt a sense of exploitation that weighed heavily on him. Priscilla, aware of the temptations that surrounded Elvis, sensed that Ann-Margret would not be the last woman to capture his attention. Despite the pain this caused her, Elvis sought Priscilla's forgiveness, claiming, "I guess the devil made me do it." Priscilla, in a moment of vulnerability, agreed to forgive him, hoping to mend the rift that had formed between them. As she rummaged through the King of Rock and Roll's makeup kit, she stumbled upon a telegram that made her heart sink. It was a message from Ann-Margret, and Priscilla knew that Elvis had received it. The telegram revealed the depth of Ann-Margret's confusion and hurt, stating, "I just don't understand." This message was a stark reminder of the emotional turmoil that surrounded their lives. Elvis had stopped returning Ann-Margret's calls, leaving her in a state of uncertainty. Priscilla felt the weight of the situation, knowing that the world of fame and attraction was a constant challenge for their relationship. The complexities of love, trust, and the pressures of celebrity life loomed large, creating a storm of emotions that Priscilla had to navigate. She understood that forgiveness was not just a word, but a journey they would have to take together, even as the shadows of temptation lingered around them. The struggle between love and the allure of fame was a battle that would test their bond time and again, leaving Priscilla to wonder how many more temptations would come their way. It seemed to confirm their breakup, but Priscilla's reaction reflected her anger. Elvis had totally disassociated himself from her, cutting off their ties in a way that left her feeling abandoned. In her book, Priscilla wrote about the moment she received the telegram. The knowledge that the telegram was there bothered her deeply. In a fit of frustration, she simply tore it to shreds, and with total gratification, flushed it down the toilet. This act was not just a physical destruction of the message, but also a symbolic rejection of the pain it represented. Elvis, on the other hand, found humor in the situation. He laughed at Priscilla, saying, "I guess I've got to keep on my toes." This comment highlighted the stark difference in their emotional responses. While Priscilla was grappling with feelings of hurt and betrayal, Elvis seemed to take the situation lightly, which only added to her frustration. The breakup was not just a personal loss for Priscilla, it was a moment that defined her feelings of anger and disillusionment in their relationship. While Elvis and Me primarily focuses on the lives of Elvis Presley and Priscilla Presley, it also touches on the experiences of other individuals connected to them, including actress Margaret. Margaret plays a significant role in certain parts of the narrative, yet her relationship with Priscilla is notably absent in her own memoir. When Joy Harowitz from the New York Times inquired about this omission, Margaret's response was striking. She simply stated that Priscilla was not present in her life during the events she described. This comment was accompanied by a piercing look directed at Harowitz, suggesting that Margaret felt strongly about the absence of Priscilla in her story. The interaction highlights the complexities of relationships within the entertainment world, especially when intertwined with the iconic figures like Elvis and Priscilla. It raises questions about memory, presence, and the narratives we choose to share or leave out. The dynamics between these individuals reflect the intricate web of personal and professional connections that often shape public perceptions of their lives. Despite the excitement and passion that surrounded their relationship, Ann-Margret understood that her connection with Elvis Presley was complicated. She recognized that his engagement to Priscilla Presley created a barrier that could not be ignored. In her reflections, she noted that Elvis had always been honest with her, which made the situation even more confusing. They shared many moments together, and their bond deepened over time. However, as they dated for almost a year, the reality of their circumstances became clearer. Ann-Margret felt the weight of the commitment Elvis had made, and she knew that their relationship could not continue indefinitely. The joy of their time together was overshadowed by the knowledge that it had to come to an end. They both understood that Elvis needed to fulfill his obligations, and this realization brought a sense of inevitability to their romance. The emotional complexity of their situation lingered, but ultimately, they accepted that their paths were destined to diverge. Despite the many rumors and challenges that surrounded his life, Elvis ultimately made a clear choice when it came to love. While Ann-Margret was a significant figure in his life, Elvis recognized that she was not the right woman for him. He sought someone who embodied traditional values, someone who would be content waiting for him at home. Priscilla Presley fit this description perfectly. Their relationship began when they met in 1959, and over the years, they developed a deep bond. After nearly a decade of knowing one another, they decided to take the next step. In 1967, Elvis and Priscilla wed in a beautiful ceremony at the Aladdin Hotel in Las Vegas, Nevada. This moment marked the beginning of their life together as husband and wife, solidifying the connection they had built over the years. Their marriage was a reflection of Elvis's desire for stability and love, qualities he found in Priscilla. Just after a week, Ann-Margret tied the knot with her longtime husband, Elvis Presley, and Ann-Margret maintained a friendship that endured over the years. Even after Elvis married Priscilla, he continued to send Ann-Margret thoughtful gifts, including a guitar-shaped flower arrangement, which he sent her regularly throughout his life. This gesture highlighted the special bond they shared, one that seemed to transcend the boundaries of their romantic past. Despite the affection and connection that Elvis had with Ann-Margret, Priscilla was not entirely happy with this ongoing friendship. She likely felt a mix of emotions, knowing that her husband had a deep history with another woman. The relationship between Elvis and Ann-Margret, while platonic, was a reminder of the past that Priscilla had to navigate. This dynamic added complexity to their marriage, as Priscilla had to come to terms with the fact that Elvis's feelings for Ann-Margret lingered, even after he had committed to her. The enduring friendship between Elvis and Ann-Margret serves as a testament to the lasting connections that can exist in the world of fame and love, even when new relationships are formed. After the birth of their child, Priscilla Presley began to notice a shift in her relationship with Elvis. She realized that Elvis no longer desired intimacy with her. Despite being married, he continued to meet with other women, including a Swedish redhead. Even before their wedding, Elvis had expressed that he could not be with a woman who had children. When Priscilla confronted him about his affairs, he told her to accept the situation for a while. At first, she tried to come to terms with this arrangement, hoping things would improve. However, as time went on, her unhappiness grew. The emotional distance between them became more pronounced, and Priscilla felt increasingly isolated. Eventually, she reached a breaking point and decided that enough was enough. This realization marked a significant turning point in her life, as she grappled with the complexities of love, loyalty, and her own self-worth. The struggles in their marriage highlighted the challenges of being with someone as famous and complicated as Elvis. Eventually, after the passing of Elvis Presley, he and Priscilla divorced. Priscilla admitted that while Elvis liked the idea of marriage, she did not believe he could ever truly commit to one woman. This realization weighed heavily on her, as she felt she could not remain the same girl for long. Over time, she evolved into an actress, carving out her own identity in the entertainment world. During this period, she often felt jealousy towards other women, particularly one who remained loyal to her husband. Ann-Margret, a well-known actress and singer, was the only celebrity to attend Elvis's memorial service. To this day, Priscilla speaks fondly of Elvis, reflecting on their time together with a sense of nostalgia. Their relationship, though complicated, left a lasting impact on her life and career, shaping who she became in the years that followed. Surprisingly, Priscilla Presley speaks fondly of Elvis in her memoir, reflecting on their complex relationship, despite the challenges they faced, including Priscilla's jealousy towards Ann-Margret. Both women shared a deep love for Elvis. Ann-Margret's loyalty as a friend to Elvis is also evident, showcasing the strong bonds they formed. These feelings highlight how much Elvis meant to them, and how he continues to live on in the hearts of many, even decades after his passing. The connection between Priscilla and Ann-Margret is a testament to the rare and precious nature of such relationships. Their memories of Elvis serve as a reminder of his lasting impact on their lives, and the lives of countless fans. The way they remember him speaks volumes about his legacy, illustrating that love can transcend time and circumstances. The stories they share reveal the depth of their feelings and the significance of their experiences with him, making their reflections all the more